people, I'm Ginny Metheral and I'm a 4th generation witch. Today we're again coming back to my ever popular Almanac series, looking at what witchcraft you can do on Witch Day and why during the month of May. As always with these videos, what I like to do is to give you a general overview of the month of May and the witchcraft trends that you can do throughout the month. And then we will look at the nitty-gritty, day-to-day detail of what witchcraft you can do on which day and why. May witchcraft really is, I think, almost a recovery of the Mayday celebrations that happen on the 1st of May, because there actually isn't that many trends that follow throughout the month. I think we're just still recovering from all the excesses that happen on the Beltane celebrations. This celebration, it's got absolutely nothing to do with any other religion apart from our pagan celebrations. There is no overtones of Christianity, it's not got muddled with any other particular form of religion, and it is purely a celebration of May. So May is all about the flowers and the boom and the abundance and the virile and the excitement. And this is, of course, how May celebrations start. It's a very exuberant time of year. If you want to do spells over the month for abundance and fertility, this is the perfect day to start them. I love May. I love the celebrations. I love the feel of the month. I love the exuberance of the month and the virility of it. It is really one of my favourite months of the year, especially when you see the little baby animals. And we've got ducks nesting on the pond at the moment. And when their little ducklings come out, I'm going to be so overexcited. I shall have to film them and send it to everybody. So watch out. The other thing about May is, of course, it's now the time for the flowers to explode in this beautiful bridal flurry of hawthorn that bedecks the English countryside. Now, hawthorn, or May blossom, is one of the main celebrant flowers of the Beltane festival. However, that's because hawthorn, the bush that it comes from, is incredibly superstitious. Now, hawthorn bushes, do not fall asleep underneath them. You're liable to be abducted by the fae. If you are a witch, you can easily hide in a hawthorn bush or even turn yourself into a hawthorn bush. It's sort of, a bit dubious which one or the other it is. I personally think you can probably just hide easily in a hawthorn bush and nobody will ever find you. The hawthorn bush itself is beloved by the fairies, and if you find a hawthorn, an oak and an ash growing in a grove together, then this will be sacred not just to the druids but to the local fae. May is also a time for the fae. This is when their fairy revels happen. This is when they're coming out and they're doing all their excitement, and they can be mischievous and they can be slightly annoying if they're taking all your stuff and hiding it, which is what they've been doing to me recently. However, it is also a time to celebrate them. The May Queen, that sort of female goddess that comes and strides through the Beltane festivals and the Mayday festivals, is actually a fairy queen, and it is known that the fairy queen processes at this time of year in order to get married to her fairy king. There are so many different tales and legends and folklore concerning the fact that you can be abducted by a fairy in order to go and live with them in fairyland and, sing and dance with them and play with them, and then come back home and you'll find that, 20 years have passed, because fairyland time passes differently from our earth time. Watch out also that you shouldn't go and spy on the fairies at their revels. This is not accepted. They will be very jealous of their fairy revels and they don't want us humans anywhere near them. You might become fairy struck, and that's not great. I've been fairy struck before and I can put my hand up and say, no, you don't want that happening. May is a very fertile month. You see a lot of babies coming out, the ducklings and the baby lambs and the baby calves and the baby this and baby that. It is therefore a really good time to go and make a baby. I did mention this in my previous video on the Mayday festival itself, but should you care to have a baby, you should go and make love on the Cern Abbas giant during any May morning. You might have to fight off some Morris dancers who are also up there, Morris dancing away in May mornings. However, if you make love on his manhood, you will be guaranteed a babe within 9 months. So, excitingly, that is how to combat fertility problems. And the last May overview that I want to talk about is the overview of brooms or broomsticks, a besom broom. Do not, under any circumstances, use a broom that was cut or paid for and brought during May, because there is an old folktale that says, "Sweep with a broom that is cut in May, and you'll sweep the head of the house away." So be warned, only use old brooms in May. So that is my general overview. Don't use a new broom. If you want a baby, now's the time to start making one and enjoy the beautiful floral excitement and vigour that is May. So with that said, let's look at the nitty-gritty day-to-day detail, and we're going to start, of course, with the 1st of May. Now, I have done a video about this already, but I'm going to put it up here for you should you want to have a look at it. May is all about celebrations and vigour and vim, and so therefore it's just a day of revelry and feasting and processions. Processions have been made by the kings of England for generations upon generations. We don't know when the first procession really started on the Mayday, but the king and his queen would process down the streets of wherever they were with a lot of garlands of flowers. The one thing I do beseech you to try is just to buy a posy of flowers, and that is a perfect way to celebrate this Mayday. The 2nd of May is a day when you must have cleared all the nettles away from your, where you don't want them. Now, for those of you who live in America, nettles are a stinging plant. They sting like a bee or a wasp, and they leave great big welts all over your skin, and they're very annoying, but they taste delicious and you can eat them. The devil was said to make his shirts from nettles, and so if you start clearing them away after the 1st of May, then the devil will get a bit cross with you and come and, plague you. So don't do anything with nettles after the 1st of May. The 3rd of May is the anniversary of the day when the evil spirits were cast out of the heaven. So it's a very unlucky day to go travelling or start any new tasks, because those evil angels will be sulkily stalking this earth on this day, their anniversary. The 7th of May is a weather divination day. You need to look at a weather vane, and if the wind is shown as blowing northeasterly, then you will be out of sorts today. And the way to combat this is to suck a lemon. I've no idea how sucking a lemon. Maybe it's the vitamins and the citrus that you need on this, the end of winter. The 8th of May, it is Helston Flora Day or Fairy Dance Day, and this is where the entire town of Helston in Cornwall dances from first dawn till last thing at night. It's highly organised. The town is decorated beautifully with garlands upon garlands of flowers, and every single person seems to be dancing. It is in honour of this season, so do have a look at it. It's something I've always wanted to see myself, and maybe this year I'll manage to go. The 1st to the 8th of May is a very special time for anybody born in this week, and they're called babies born betwixt the Beltanes. The festival of Beltane starts on the 1st and can go on to the 8th of May, depending on, where you are, what your tradition states. And so those babies who are born betwixt the Beltanes are incredibly lucky and will be very successful and have great beauty. This also applies to those babies who are conceived betwixt the Beltanes. So, they'll be born May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December, January. Like me. I was a betwixt the Beltane conceived child. And aren't I wonderful in every single way? The 13th of May is Old May Day. Now, we moved from the Julian to the Gregorian calendar many, many centuries ago, and this caused us to lose or gain, I'm not quite sure of the actual technical details, but several days went missing. And so this was the original date of the Old May Day, and it is still upheld by certain, sections of our community. For example, Abbotsbury Garland Day happens on the 13th of May, showing how old the roots are of this festival. This Abbotsbury Garland Day is a May Day celebration. It is also a day where you can avoid the mischievousness of the fae, because, they do like to abduct babies, make changelings, and, generally cause havoc with their revels. So what you do is you'll make a garland of marsh marigolds, and then you will hang those marsh marigold garlands upside down across your doorway. This will prevent any type of fae entering your house and causing mischief. Likewise, if there's any primroses left over in your garden, strew them across the doorstep of your home, and this will also stop the mischievousness of the fae entering. The 12th of May is the night of the full moon. This full moon is in Scorpio. Scorpio is an incredibly passionate and vigorous sign, and so make the most of this full moon with rituals to celebrate those passions and vigour. It was known as the bright moon, the milk moon, the mother's moon, because it shows the way for all the mothers with the babes hanging around them, such as the cows and the sheep. The 11th to the 13th of May are known as the Ice Days. Now watch out, because these are the ice saints. I think there's 3 rather strange saints who are associated with this day. However, it is well known that you can have a sharp ice frost attack in these days. And in fact, my parents got married on the 11th of May in the 1960s, and on their wedding day it snowed. And my mother always said to me, "It snowed on my wedding day." This doesn't mean to say that their marriage was a snowy one or a wintry one. It wasn't indeed. It was a very, very happy and successful marriage. However, watch out. You're not out of the woods yet in May, and these 3 days are the days when it's most likely to drop in temperature and you'll need to wrap up warm. The 16th of May is a day when the fairies are most likely to swap their child with yours. So you've got to beware of your baby on this day. Now, fairy changelings are strange creatures. They don't really interact that well with humans, but when they're on their own, they will laugh and giggle and smile and, cheerfully babble at all the fae that we can't see. So guard your children well today, in case they are abducted by the fae. You could hang some marsh marigolds from the baby's crib or some primroses. Whatever you do, though, don't bring any May blossom, i.e. hawthorn, into your home, because this will encourage the fairies to come in and steal your child. The 19th of May is one of my favourite days of the year because it involves potatoes. And everyone knows potatoes are literally the only thing that I could happily live off. I mean, I don't. I live off lots of other vegetables too, but potatoes are a particular favourite in all their forms, maybe crisps being my favourite. However, today is the day when your first early crop potatoes are going to come in. And if you bite the first potato of this season, then you must make a wish. The 21st of May is International Tea Day. Now, this is a modern festival. However, I thought it'd be a great opportunity for you to start up with your Tasseography, which is tea leaf reading. And so I thought I'd give you a few tips on how to start. So the first thing that you must do, and this is most important actually, is you must use actual loose leaf tea, because if you break open a tea bag, it's mostly dust in there and it's rubbish, and you won't get a good reading. The second thing is that you need to use a nice bowl-shaped mug, not one with sort of edges and corners, but a bowl bottom to it, in order for the tea leaves to settle in the right place and get a good reading. Thirdly, you must always leave a drop of tea in the bottom of the cup so that you can swirl the cup around. And each cup only has one answer to one question in it. You can't bring up all the future from one cup. You simply swirl the cup round 3 times, asking the question, and then turn the cup upside down and hand it over to the reader, and they will then look at the symbols and pictures that are formed by the tea leaves. If you've got another question, you must brew and then drink another cup of tea. Oh, and lastly on tea leaf reading, if you can't see anything in the teacup, don't worry. That means that nothing of note is going to happen for 24 hours. So try again then. Anyway, let me know how you get on. And if you are a tea leaf reader, is this how you do it? Well, it's how I do it anyway. I'm not very good at tea leaf reading. I'm much better at just reading the person if I'm going to tell them their future. The 22nd of May is the day that the sun enters the house of Gemini. Now, as always, we're going to see what the calendar of shepherds of 1604 has to say about the Gemini man and woman. So, the man born under Gemini shall have many wounds, and he shall be open and have a reasonable life. So he's starting well. He shall receive much money, but he will go to unknown places, and he will not bide in his place of birth. His first wife shall not live long, but he shall marry lots of strange women. He shall be bitten by a dog, and shall have the mark of iron and fire. He shall pass the sea, and live 100 years and 10 months. I think he must be the oldest lived of all the people in the calendar of shepherds. The woman shall come to honour, but she shall be aggrieved of a false crime. That sounds a bit rotten. She ought to be wedded at 14 years old, and if she shall be chaste and endure all peril, she shall live until she's 70. I feel a bit sorry for the woman because, I think 14's a bit young. As well, man as woman shall augment and assemble goods for their successors, but scantly shall use their own goods, so they shall be avaricious. Is it true? Do you hoard your stuff in this life as a Gemini woman or a Gemini man? Let me know in the comments below. Now, Gemini rules the palms of the hand, and so if you don't want to do your Tasseography, you could do some palmistry and do a bit of palm reading on this day, because Gemini will give you the extra spurt that you'll need to identify what's going on. I do love a bit of palmistry, actually. My mother was a particularly good palm reader, and in fact she had to give it up because she said, I can't do this anymore, I keep getting it right too much. I mean, she would just have visions. I mean, my mother would just have visions, and she would see in people's palms the literal visions of what was going to happen. I think she found it a bit frightening, actually, because they were so real and so clear. Anyway, try palmistry today. You'll have good results. The 26th of May is the night of the new moon. Astrologers believe that each new moon takes on the qualities of the astronomical sign that it appears in, and this moon is in Gemini. Gemini is a mutable air sign, so transformational in quality, so use this period to transform yourself from winter to summer. The 31st of May is the day when elderflowers are finally in bloom. Now, they start blooming around this time, and you can pick them from any time from now into June. And in fact, my very favourite recipe in all the world starts on a sunny day in June. Go out at midday and pick your elderflowers. But beware of the elder tree. You have to ask the mother witch who lives in the elder tree whether you can pick her flowers, and you cannot cut any of the wood down. It was said that the elder tree brings you terrible bad luck, so cradles made of elderwood means that the babe who's placed in them will sicken and die. Judas Iscariot, the person who betrayed Jesus for 30 pieces of silver, he is said to have hanged himself from an elder tree. And even some people say that the cross that Jesus himself was hanged from was made of elder wood. Probably not, in my opinion. And so that is my traditional witchcraft for the month of May. If you'd like to learn more about this, do go to patreon.com/Ginny Metheral and come and join me, because our coven meetings are going from strength to strength. We now have an advanced coven for those of you who've been with me for quite a long time, and it is amazing. The witchcraft that we're doing there is quite something. Otherwise, please don't forget just to like and subscribe, because it really helps me and I would appreciate it so much. And I will see you in my next video.